want to rock right now. Not later.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now.
All right, it's a 10-minute drill, gang, as we enlighten you with our sports thoughts and rationalizations this morning to get you prepared for the water cooler talk, or however you choose to use this information. That's at your discretion. Dan, I'm going to start with the top story here in town, and Doug Marone. Look, he didn't have much choice, man. Championship dreams aren't built on changing quarterbacks to a guy who's 0-8 in his career and came over for a seventh rounder from Cleveland in the offseason, despite how Kessler may have played in the second half. But, Dan, how important is this? Just as a fan base, okay, it's time to stop thinking about terms of Super Bowls and playoffs and put this in the prism of, can we get a win, Dan Hicken? A win can do an awful dadgum lot.
Yes.
Philly is only a 3-point favorite in London. Does that surprise you?
No, Philadelphia is struggling, too. They gave up 21 points in the fourth quarter. They have a losing record. I don't think I picked them to go to the playoffs, so I'm not surprised. It's hard. That Super Bowl hangover is real, and I'd love to have one day. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have one around these parts. I'm really down in the dumps about the way this season has unfolded, as I'm sure many of the fans are. But can they get a win against Philadelphia? Sure they can. There's some London, experience that helps the Jaguars. They know how to do it. They go over Thursday night. They've got a feel for it. They've got a routine now, and it works for them, and it's worked 3 times in a row. And listen, the Jaguars winning 3 in a row at anything is impressive, especially considering what kind of franchise they've been for the last few years. So they found a little something with London, and they need to stay on that, and they will. And so maybe – and the other thing I think is Philly doesn't really run the ball. They throw the ball. Well, that's the Jags' strength. So maybe the matchup is closer than you think. Well, obviously, the odds makers think
there's one thing that we don't think about that much because it doesn't happen much each season, but the Jags have not been good against the NFC the last couple of years. I mean, last year they lost to Arizona, San Francisco, and the Rams. This year they've already lost to the Cowboys. They did beat the Giants. So
yeah.
An interconference loss doesn't hurt as bad, but now that you're 3-4, they're all going to be devastating.
The one thing about Blake Bortles, Jeff, is consistency, and he's consistently inconsistent, and that inconsistency ultimately will probably cost him a starting job in the NFL. Did Doug Marone make the right decision, though, by going back with Blake for the time being?
I think he did. It concerns – I think when you're 3-4, then you can't worry as much about the floor. We got to get back to the ceiling, and I think we kind of agreed yesterday, our conversation with Tony. Blake has the higher ceiling. He had the most extraordinary game, make the more extraordinary play. Kessler's floor may be a little higher. He's not going to bottom out maybe as Blake has done from time to time. But, it's worth pointing out that while they did score, the Kessler had a turnover. He had a couple of fumbles. They were able to recover. You got a lot of built-in – equity with Bortles, and he did have, a good stretch last year to end the season, but he's got to play better, and I don't know if he can.
Yeah.
That's not sure, to be honest with you. It is
very sobering stats released yesterday that we all saw: the turnovers, the interceptions, the pick sixes, the overthrown passes also stand out, as well as he's been very inaccurate.
Yeah.
Too. So,
all right, Dan, Florida, Georgia, or is it Georgia, Florida this year?
Well, if you want to go by the book, it's Georgia, Florida.
It's Georgia, Florida. They're the
always be Florida, Georgia.
I used to be able to remember how to properly designate that for the listening or viewing audience, as it were, for many years, because I would just think back to last year and what uniforms each team wore, and now the home team got. Well, now they've gone to that USC, UCLA. Form where they both wear the home uniform. So one will be wearing blue, the other will be wearing red. It'll be harder to figure out who's who. But do the Gators have enough to make this game interesting in the final 7.5 minutes?
I'd say, yeah. I'd say the Gators do have enough, and I also say I don't know if Georgia is of the ilk that they are that much better than Florida this year. I think Georgia, I never bought into Georgia this whole season. I think their schedule was very conducive to a successful year, and still maybe. I'm not sure Florida is ready for prime time, but I don't think Georgia is a Final Four football team. I think that I think that there's too many question marks around them, and they have a lot of young talent that's going to blossom here, though, in the next couple of years. When you recruit like they recruit, they have some good football players.
Gators have one thing. Gators have one thing kind of going more in their favor than last year's 42-7 blowout. Well, they have a few things, but one is their strength seems to play into Georgia's weakness this year. And Florida's strength is their running back depth and their ability to run the ball, and that's the one area that LSU has struggled. Really,
Georgia.
Yeah, and struggled against LSU.
Yes, and Vandy ran the ball again. You can run the ball against Georgia. At least you have been able to so far. So, certainly. LeBron James is 0-3 for only the third time, I think, in his career. And, obviously you're going to say all the right things. It's a process, et cetera. There's not an expectation to be NBA champions in LA, but there is an expectation to make the postseason. And last time I checked, if you don't win, you can't get in the postseason. Are you at all concerned about the Lakers' start and where they stand in a very much more competitive Western Conference?
No, I'm not that concerned. I'll tell you why. Because I thought this would happen. Like LeBron, you're getting this team together. The guys are playing together the first time. I would think that they would struggle a little bit out of the gates. And I also think it's fair to point out they played the Blazers, Rockets, and Spurs. Those are three pretty good teams. I mean, let me get some games in against some of these. Let me play the Suns, who I think they might play next. Let me play some teams that don't have the ceiling that some of these teams had. Most unbelievable stat, though, came to mind last night. I'm still having a hard time shaking off this one.
Mm-hmm.
But LeBron missed 2 free throws inside of 15 seconds last night with the Lakers down 1. In his career now, in that situation, a one-score game, 15 seconds or less, LeBron James' free throw percentage is 48%, the worst all time.
Does it get better if it's 10 seconds or less? Why 15?
I don't know, but I don't. There's no. He shoots worse than Shaq, and that is. Listen,
that's not good.
I'm not saying LeBron. I think it's inarguable if LeBron's clutch or not. I mean, you're going to use that as non-clutch. He had a 3-pointer to tie it last night, which was clutch, but that is a choke stat there, buddy, big time.
I think one thing you have to remember. You said that let him play some easier teams. There's not a whole lot of easier teams in the West. So if I sit there and I go, okay, I have Phoenix, maybe they win that game, but then they got Denver, who's a pretty good basketball team.
Much better than them.
Yeah, they go to San Antonio, who they just played.
Lost.
They go to Minnesota. They could win, but they may not. Dallas is even 2-1. Then it's at Portland, who they've already lost to. Then they have from the East Toronto, and then they got Minnesota, and then they got Sacto. So you're getting.
No, it's not. You could easily be 3-12.
Yeah, I mean, you're just getting through 13, 14.
I'm with you. For some reason, I pull for LeBron only in Cleveland. Anywhere else, I don't seem to pull for him. All right, I have just one last question here to wrap up the 10-minute drill. Lest we forget. The World Series starts tonight in Boston, so pack your parkas, and we'll see if for an 8:09 first pitch, what an unbelievable pitching matchup here in in Game 1, Kershaw versus Sale. But Dodgers at the Sox, who you got
to win?
Yeah,
I think you ride with the Red Sox. I'm more interested in who I root for. Again, I go back to the fan in me, and I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm going to put the game on.
I'm going Red Sox though.
Okay, and they knocked out your Braves, so I would understand that too.
The Dodgers, since I was a little kid with Garvey and Say, I've hated them forever. And they can go to hell, Dan Hicken.
I can't. I haven't decided, so I'm going to put the game on, and I'm going to let my fan take over in me and see, and I'm going to see who I'm rooting for. See if I'm surprised to see who I'm rooting for. I really don't know. I will say this. The Red Sox have been so good in the postseason. Maybe a little more pressure on them with Price going in Game 2. You need Sale to pitch well, maybe more so than the Dodgers need Kershaw. The Dodgers have won before without Kershaw. I'm not sure the Red Sox can do it without Sale. It'll be interesting to see. It's great matchup for MLB, though. It's two giant markets, two tradition-filled franchises, and the Red Sox chasing another championship. Dodgers still 0 for the last 30 years.
Yeah, since Kirk Gibson.
Wow.
Yeah.
That part of me kind of wants the Red Sox to win and keep the Dodgers down again another year.
I have no love for the Dodgers at all, and I can't root for them no matter how much the Red Sox have gone.
I don't like the Red Sox that much either.
Yeah, I don't either, but I like them more than the Dodgers, Hick. I'll tell you that much. I have an interesting Shazam Spotlight stat about the Dodgers-Red Sox, but that's coming up a little bit later this morning. I know you're already counting down.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, yeah, don't forget our giveaway right now.
Oh,
We're going to take
yeah.
caller number...
Can I win or no?
No, caller number 4. And
Caller number 4.
What are they getting?
Oh, Danny.
Oh.
We got a pair of tickets to the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl.
Holy cow.
December 31st at TIAA Bank Field.
That's New Year's Rockin' Eve, friends.
Boom.
Yeah.
Boom.
Cole Swindell
That just
performing.
happened.
Cole
post-game.
Swindell, Lauren Brooks' personal friend.
That's right.
Does he sing this song?
Yes.
He's not.
He does not?
He does a great cover of it.
What
It's a little
song does he
twangy.
sing? Do you know any of the
Could you
songs?
imagine
Sure, no,
Cole
lots of
Swindell
songs.
singing this song?
Chillin' It's one of them.
Chillin' it. That's that sunrise, sun.
No, that's Luke Bryan.
Sunburn,
But they were,
sunset.
remember, they were fraternity brothers, although they weren't there at the same time. But both were in a fraternity at Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
Hey, Statesboro, the musical
he loves Georgia
country
Southern.
music
Yeah.
capital of the world. Who knew?
He'll most likely. I think he pretty much wears Georgia Southern gear at every
He does,
concert
and
at
then
some point.
he-
A belt buckle or a hat or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also a diehard Braves fan, so
Bad
he and I
boy.
talked
I'm
about
all
that
for
too.
it. Yeah, that's my boy. All right.
Hicken GTH.
There you go. That's 10-minute drill. Get in line for the prize pack, and we've got more award-winning radio coming your way next on the Catlin Truck Accessories Tuesday.